Hey, this is Rex, and you're watching the Brick Ninjas. How does somebody not make a 3 hour review of a 3 hour movie that's as intense as the Avengers Endgame? I'm going to try to keep this short and simple, gloss over a lot of things, but talk about what I liked, what I thought was cool, and why I highly recommend the movie. All right, unless you've been living under a rock or whatever, you haven't you haven't seen the Avengers. This review is going to have spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, stop now, go see the movie, and you can watch this later. Because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. There's a lot of big things. So there's going to be spoilers after this. Okay? Spoilers coming. I saw the movie a couple days ago and kind of had to ingest the whole thing and think about it. And I will say, after first watching it, it was a pretty heavy movie. I mean, a lot of things happen. It's very emotional. Especially if you followed most, if not all, of those movies from Iron Man till now. There's a lot of big things that happen, and it was incredible. All right, here, let's go ahead and get started. Overall, I enjoyed the movie. I give it like a 9.5 out of 10, or maybe a 9.2 out of 10. There's a couple things that were off for me that I'll discuss here in a minute, but it was really, really good. For 3 hours, I was a little concerned that there was going to be moments where I was going to be like, ugh, am I going to look at my watch? Is this all, or can we get through this part, or whatever? But for 3 hours, the pacing, the cadence, it was really good. I really felt engaged the whole time. They wrapped up a lot of people's stories. They had so many people come back. That was a really cool thing to see, and see the old people come back. That, like Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman hadn't been in a movie since I think 2011. Seeing Rene Russo was cool. I mean, they brought so many people back. I mean, even like Robert Redford, Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer. There's a scene where Tony Stark is talking to his dad and says something, and his dad turns and talks to his limo driver, whose name is Jarvis, and he only has one line, but it's Paul Bettany's voice. I mean, you could tell. So they brought back so many people, and even in some very subtle ways. But overall, like I said, I liked the movie. And I felt like it ended the way it should have ended, with Iron Man. The whole saga starts with Iron Man, and it ends with Iron Man, and that was I felt like that was very respectful to the audience. There was a point where I saw the Scarlet Witch about to tear apart Thanos, that I was like, oh, okay, that'd be cool, you know. When they didn't do it, I was like, oh. But I'm glad they didn't do it. I'm glad it was Iron Man that did it, because that just makes more sense. He's the character that's been in all the movies just about. And really the whole thing is about his arc, about going from this broken person that's overly confident and utterly doesn't care about anybody. He's very selfish and narcissistic, to this very empathetic and person who makes the ultimate sacrifice and is kind of the symbol that, you know, he's the person we want to be. So I could relate to that, and I really appreciated that. Now, I also would want to just drop this little note in there, but Lucasfilm should take note of that. You know, what Marvel did with Iron Man is what Lucasfilm should have done with Luke Skywalker. And that, you know, Last Jedi, I'm going to just mention this for a second, did not handle that right. So leave that there. You know exactly what I mean. I want to stick to the Avengers. Movie was great. There's a ton of emotional scenes in this movie that, I mean, it was hard not to cry at certain points. When I saw Infinity War, I mean, I almost, cried watching Thanos stab Iron Man. But I thought that was a really cool scene at the same time, because Thanos showed a lot of respect for Iron Man, for Tony Stark. You know, had respect for him as a warrior. So that was like would have been a hero's death, and Iron Man ultimately gets that hero's death in this movie. But that was tough to watch. It was really tough to watch, because that character is just, you've seen him go from the bottom all the way to the top and then come out and round out, and then he makes the ultimate sacrifice. And what made it even harder for me too in this film was, I'm a father. I have 2 daughters and I have 2 sons, and you know, that changes your life when you have a kid. And it was interesting to see his character have a child, because I knew what that meant for his character, and I could really identify with that. So they just handled that character so well. Robert Downey Jr. did an amazing job with that character from the very beginning until now. No one else could ever fill those shoes, and I'm happy with the way it ended. You always want to see your heroes live on, but that was the punctuation to the end of the Avengers, and they did it well. Cracking a little bit more into the movie, I want to say that some of the things that I thought were a little bit clunky were the first 20 minutes felt like they were trying to legitimize Captain Marvel, and that was a bit eye-rolling for me. She's a brand new character to the universe. She didn't really have much. She didn't have any stock, so kind of throwing her in the mix the last minute to me wasn't good. But they only put her in there enough throughout the movie to kind of give her a little bit of credit. But that first 20 minutes, I felt like she just, it was bugging me. I felt like they were forcing it. But that's just me. That's my opinion. Though she still did decently in the movie, I'm not a big fan of the character. And a lot of it has to do with the Brie Larson's stuff she said in the past about how these movies weren't for these certain people, and kind of chives towards the fans, towards people like me, which I think is crappy, but whatever. It is what it is. So that was one part I felt was a little bit clunky. Something else that it worked, but I wish there would have been some more exposition on or explanation of was the Hulk and Thor. All of a sudden, the Hulk is now Banner and the Hulk, and that seemed kind of they just barely explained that. And I know they had 3 hours, so I mean, it would have been another 20 minutes to kind of get into that, so I understand why they did what they did. But, I mean, maybe they could have put a little more in Infinity War to kind of explain it, but there were choices that they made. The Hulk one didn't bother me as much as the Thor one bothered me, because I felt like that was for kind of certain cultural reasons or something now. But Thor being fat and just kind of letting himself go seemed very out of place to me. He seemed too self-absorbed earlier in his character development to ever kind of go that route. And it just didn't, I don't know, just didn't really make sense. It almost seemed like Thor and Hulk seemed like they were comic relief in the movie, which I thought was kind of crappy to do to those characters, because they're pivotal and they're integral to what takes place in these films. And even though Iron Man ultimately is the one who defeats Thanos, Thor is pretty much the strongest Avenger. So to kind of like dumb him down like that, I mean, maybe they did that for Iron Man's benefit. The cynic in me says that they did that for Captain Marvel's benefit, but I could be wrong. But that's what crossed my mind. I mean, if that's the case, if they really made Thor weaker and flabbier and all that in order to make Captain Marvel seem more legitimate, I think that's kind of crappy in a lot of ways. I don't think you should be making your strongest character weaker to try to make a new character look strong. You should just legitimize your new character's strength. And you know what? I probably would have, if anybody else would have played Captain Marvel, I probably would have been more on board with that, or at least hadn't felt so political or something like that with things that she's done and said. But I could be way off base there. Like I said, they could have done that too, like to make it more of Iron Man's fight. And now that I think about it, that may have been the reason why. And maybe I'm just being cynic and reactive. But I think they could have probably still had Thor be, strong like he was without costing anybody. But that's, what? I didn't write the script. I didn't have to write a 3-hour movie with all these incredible characters. So I'm just armchair quarterbacking here. But otherwise, that threw me off a little bit. And it did take me out of the movie a couple times, because I kept thinking, why would he be like this? This just doesn't fit. But whatever. What I really loved about the movie, I love how it became about Iron Man. That Iron Man's the one who's got to defeat this guy. It's intellect and creativity that won the day. over brawn, strength, and just overall power. It was self-sacrifice, creativity, and intelligence that won the story. What else kind of threw me off, and not in a bad way, but that scene with Black Widow and Hawkeye. As I was watching it, they really made me feel like, okay, Hawkeye's got to make the sacrifice because he's lost his family. He has nothing to gain. But ultimately, it was Black Widow, and after I saw that happen, I was like, okay, well, that actually does make sense because she has less to lose than he does. Because if they get the gauntlet back and they make the snap, he's going to get his entire family back. So ultimately, that made sense, and it sucks seeing her character die. Black Widow's a very interesting character to me. Black Widow's a very interesting character to me, and I know they're talking about making a movie, and I hope they make a movie with her character because I do want to know more about her character, and her. I want to see her arc, and it'd be if they. I imagine if Kevin Feige's a part of it, they're going to handle it just as well and as respectfully as they've handled all the other movies. So I'm looking forward to that. Seeing her go, that was emotional. That sucked. But it was noble at the same time. She died a hero's death and has my total respect. That character has my respect and my admiration for that. And I thought that was really cool. At the same time, that sucked. Something else that was really cool was Nebula, to kind of see her come around. She's always been a character that I've been interested in too and watching. I don't think she needs a whole movie to herself like Black Widow does. But she's been in a supporting character that has really been integral to everything that's going on, and kind of gives you a glimpse into who Thanos is, and kind of is the result of Thanos and that kind of the parent that he would have been. And I really liked watching her go from this really broken and hurt character to this more empathetic and wanting to do the right thing character. So that was really cool to see in this movie. The final battle scene with Thanos was really cool. As I said before, I really felt like Captain Marvel could have been left out of this, but I'm sure they're using this to kind of help bridge the gap from her future movies, from the past, and here to give her some legitimacy that she did have something to do with the Avengers. They gave every hero from the previous movies a chance to get a piece of Thanos. And I said this before, I did enjoy seeing Scarlet Witch really about to tear him apart, but she doesn't get to. I like seeing Thor just throw down on Thanos. It was really cool to see Captain America pick up the hammer and go toe-to-toe with Thanos. I almost thought he was going to beat him too. They really put a lot of emphasis on, I think, Scarlet Witch and Captain America. Those were the more interesting fights. I really felt Iron Man had an awesome fight with Thanos in the last movie. Good one in this movie too, but that was pretty cool. Watching Captain Marvel fight him, I was worried, please don't. I would have been very upset had she been the one to beat him, because, like I said, there's no emotional connection to that character. If she would have started maybe years ago and it was a different actress or something, I would have been fine with that. But still making it Iron Man's fight and Iron Man having to be the one ultimately to end Thanos and pay the price for that was heavy. But it was the only way and the best way to do it. And I appreciated Doctor Strange, showing him kind of there's only one way, and Tony knew what that was. Iron Man knew exactly what he was going to have to do, and was clever enough. Like I said, creativity, intelligence won the fight over just the power and the strength that Thanos is. And I thought that was pretty cool, because that's even a shift in our culture nowadays, is that creativity and intelligence are becoming more and more valuable over brawn and just sheer power. So that was really, really cool to watch. They really gave Captain America a nice send-off here by having him go back in time, put the stones back where they needed to be, but then he doesn't come back like they expect. He actually shows up old on a park bench near where he was supposed to show back up, and implying that he went back and lived the life that Tony Stark had told him to live, so he went and got married to, Carter, and had a whole life with her. And I thought that was really good. I thought a nice send off for that character, to kind of, take on, enjoy the fruits of his labor and go back and live the life that he wanted to live. That was really cool. Something else I really appreciated was, I could talk about this forever. There's so much in this movie. But it was really cool how they brought, like I said this earlier, they brought everybody back. Natalie Portman, Rene Russo, Robert Redford, Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, even the kid from Iron Man 3. And even though they're only in the movie for a few moments, it was really cool to see them again. And, like these people had, or these characters had a place in this universe that had meaning and value. And the fact that all the actors were willing to do it again was really, really cool. Marvel has done such an amazing thing. Like they beat Star Wars at its own game. What Star Wars was originally from 76 to 83, the MCU totally took that and used the framework to create a beautiful saga of 22 movies and I don't know how many different characters, and done it respectfully to not only their characters but to the audience, to the fans who this all resonates with. And Kevin Feige, my hat's off to you, man. You did it right. You've done everything. You've respected the audience, and you've done things that resonate with people, and you've made a human story with all these movies. From Iron Man, Black Panther, Thor, Captain America, Ant-Man, Spider-Man, all of it. The Avengers, you've done an amazing job, and I really take my hat off to you. Thank you for doing this and doing it so well, and having respect for the craft, and like I said, everything. I've appreciated what you've done, and you've earned every dollar that I've spent on these movies, and I feel like you've earned every dollar that all the other people have spent. You've produced a lot of value, and you've made people feel something and reflect on things. What I want to wrap up with is there is one thing I'm a little wondering about, and that wasn't really answered in this movie, and maybe it was and I missed it, but was when Loki gets the Tesseract and then disappears. Where did he go? Does he stay in his timeline? Does he go to a different timeline? Where'd he go? Is there going to be something with Loki in the future? He's been a cool character to kind of see his arc and the relationship mend between him and Thor, and him become a help after trying to be being a soldier for Thanos. So where did he go? That's where I'm going to leave this off with. Leave me in the comments below. Where do you think Loki went? And what did you think of this review? And what did you think of Marvel Endgame? Do you think that it was done well? Were you happy with the ending? Do you feel like they have earned their keep with all these movies, that they've been respectful to the audience, that they've been respectful to the saga? And do you think they did it right? Do you disagree with me about trying to dumb down Thor to make Captain Marvel look good? Or do you think that they made Thor weaker in order to put more emphasis on Iron Man? I'm curious about that in your comments below. Please like, subscribe, share. And again, guys, thank you for watching. And I love the comments and the engagement, no matter what they are. And I'll see you guys around on the next one, where I'm going to talk about Cobra Kai Season 2, which has been an awesome show. Thanks for watching.